about growth. It's about the learning of the teaching approach. When you say that we should have students reading, so yes, I try to avoid that a little bit, but sometimes there's a lot of activities with reading, and I try to work that in a different way, not have them reading all the time. But I would really like to know from a language learning approach why you advise not to happen. What's the reason?
What's the reason for students not to read?
Well, what's the reason why reading is not the a base of learning a language or learning any language, even our L1? Why isn't that so resourceful?
Yeah, reading is one of the best learning approaches. Reading is probably in my list, in my personal list, it would be number one, along with watching series. Yeah, so I learn or listening to songs, but I would never think as a teacher of doing that with my students in class. So I would never put my favorite series with my students, and I would well, songs probably because they are shorter. Reading is something that we definitely have to stimulate in our students outside the classroom, outside, not with us, outside, because reading is that thing that provides input. And I remember an old teacher, maybe those of you who are linguists will remember, Krashen, don't remember his first name, but he is very, very, you know, a very big supporter of reading skills outside the classroom, right? So what you have to do is be stimulating active usage. So those things that students can't do alone. Yeah, anyone can take a book and read, good or bad. And here it's arguable whether they will be reading fine or not. You have to assume that they will not. But in class, what you're working with them will impact their reading skills a big deal afterwards. So I think that you're very necessary for all these active, and I use active again and again. You know, those who have done the CELTA course, you guys were drilled this differentiation between active skills and passive skills, right? So reading is very important outside the classroom. Absolutely important outside the classroom. It's where we develop vocabulary, it's where we develop awareness, cultural benefits, etc. Outside, I insist very much on that. And why? Because of the pace of the class. You have to have the student interacting, pushing them, encouraging them to speak, correcting a lot. But it has to be a very dynamic way. Otherwise, the pace of the class will dramatically drop. So this is why. And the same happens with reading. Do they need to read? Probably they will need to read. Where or in what moment is the best moment for them to read? When they're in a reflective mode. And that is not the class. That is outside the class, right? So this is it. And do the trial. I mean, where you will have more fun in a class where you will have to read, or you are challenged to say something and learning actively and repeating.
Well, I'm not going to say whether it's, for lazy teachers or whatever. I try that. I try having the students to read, and they think they hate that. That's the first, when students hate that, and it's because it's very difficult. I mean, it's double work. You have to decode and code at the same time. So it's just like probably the worst of the exercises for half an hour. What I do, I read. For them, they're more comfortable because they can just like concentrate on decoding what is there. And at the same time, they're actually learning pronunciation, right? Then I do the questions, understanding questions. Then second, they can read to answer my question.
And then it makes
they're reading, they're reading, and that is lazy for them because when I'm asked, can you tell me that on your own words? I'm not telling them to read. Okay, so if they're reading, it's because they want to read. So that's what I do. I don't know if that helps you, as